Anthuvan to please address us.
Good morning. Honorable Chairman, the dignitaries on the dais, and my dear comrades, greetings to every one of you. I thank Comrade Franco for the extraordinary efforts that he has taken in bringing us together and giving me this opportunity to interact with you. I'm really happy to meet the intellectuals from different parts of the country who are interested in the welfare, in the progress of this country, especially its public sector. Let us look at the economic scenario. When the British were ruling this country, the growth rate was not even 1% per annum. From 1900 to 1947, the growth rate was sometimes negative, 0.5, 0.8. Less than 1%, that was the average. From 1950 to 1975, our growth rate has been 3.5%. That's what people are now criticizing. It's called Hindu growth of rate. It has nothing to do with the Hindu rate of growth. My point is, during the British rule for 50 years, our average performance growth rate was less than 1%. When we became independent, what was the scenario? Growth rate was 1%. Capital formation was not even 10%. Investment rate was not even 10%. Population was growing at more than 2%. 85% of the people were illiterate. 85% of the people lived in villages. Most of the villages did not have electricity. There were hardly 500 universities throughout the country. 500 colleges. Only 500 colleges throughout the country. In the next 30 years, our growth rate was 3.5%. That means 4 times the previous 5 decades. It's a remarkable achievement. Unfortunately, today I find the press and the so-called intellectuals criticizing, condemning this. From 1 to 3.5, how many times we have grown? It was not a bad period at all. That was the period when the foundation was laid down for the economic growth. It was 3.5% for 3 decades. By 1975, our growth was 9%. I'm surprised nobody talks about it. Except I found that Kaushik Basu, who was earlier our advisor, he only mentioned it. 9% growth rate was achieved in 1975 when Indira was there. Of course, that's a year we would like to forget for other reasons. In the 80s, we started growing at 6+%. 90s, we started growing at 6 to 7, and 2000s, 7 to 8. In 2006, 2007, 2008, our growth rate was 8 to 9%. Now we are around 7%. For this 6, 7%, 8% growth rate, it was a foundation that was laid during 50s, 60s and 70s. What was that foundation? In 1930s, Bombay Club, J.R.D. Tata, Ramakrishna Bajaj, And all the leading capitalists, let us say, the industrial captains, they met Nehru and told him, don't depend upon private sector. After independence, you strengthen the public sector. There is no capital with the private sector. There is no infrastructural development in the country. You lay down the foundation. Private sector doesn't have savings to take up the challenge. Only government can do it. They requested. And from 1947 to 57, our growth rate was rather slow. We were importing food. Every day we were looking at the ships to arrive. We were depending on foreign food. At one stage we could not pay for it. We didn't have foreign exchange. And we depended on the United States. They were giving us free food. Nehru sent Vijayalakshmi Pandit to meet the president to ask for food because our people were starving. Then Vijayalakshmi Pandit met the President of the United States. But the Senate was not supporting, Congress was not supporting that idea. Therefore, a new idea was created. Under PL 480, Public Law 480, we will send food to India. What is that? It will be a sort of aid, but not completely aid. What was that? India will pay in terms of rupees, which will be spent in India. So India will pay some price, it's not free. And Nehru was happy, it was honorable, we will pay some price in rupees. We get it. So we were depending on that. But when they expected total political support from India in the international fora, and Nehru said, we are following Gandhian ideals, we will follow non-alignment. American government, the leaders were not happy about it. A poor country which is getting food from us talks about independence in foreign affairs, non-alignment, Gandhian leadership, they ridiculed it. They were not happy with us. When they went to Pakistan, when Eisenhower went to Pakistan, Pakistan said, wherever you want us to raise the hands, we will raise the hands. So Pakistan became friendly with them. Now, immediately after independence, we had a war with Pakistan. Within 2 years. Then again, 62, China, which we thought would be with us, attacked us. 65, again Pakistan created trouble. We had war. So 3 wars in 10 years immediately after independence. When our people were illiterate, when there was food shortage, when there was power shortage, when there were no colleges, no literacy. When we had all these problems, our resources were diverted to defense. 1965-66, when Indira came to power, she took up the initiative for Green Revolution. Subramaniam, M.S. Swaminathan. Thanks to Green Revolution, of course, which we have problems later with that. After Green Revolution, we became surplus in food. We started exporting food. Today our Food Corporation of India has 30, 40, 50 million tons of food. We are exporting. That happened in 70s. Now, if you look at the scenario at 70s, it's amazing. In 69, banks were nationalized. Earlier, Imperial Bank of India was converted to State Bank of India. All these banks put together gave confidence to the people because from 1947 to 1949, more than 400 private sector banks became bankrupt. People had lost their faith in the private sector banks. In fact, in Bombay, money was taken away from the scheduled private sector banks and kept in the cooperative banks because as members they had control over cooperative banks and the deposits and the loans. They had no such control over this. And that was the time when probes were conducted. What's happening? If you read Azari Committee report, Loganathan Committee report, which were thoroughly discussed in the Parliament, we have shocking results. What was happening then in 50s, 60s? The entire economy was in the hands of 100 families. If you go a little deeper, control was with 20 families. 20 families were deciding what was good for the economy. And if you look at Loganathan Committee report and Hazari Committee report of those days, which were extensively discussed in Parliament, they found out certain shocking facts. What were they? A man was a director in the bank. He was also the director or managing director of a cotton textile company or a cement company or a jute company. As a director of textiles or jute or cotton or whatever it is, he would send an application for 10 lakh rupees to a bank. When the application comes to the bank, the board will sit on that. He would be there as a member. He would sanction his own application. So application came from him. The bank sanctions it. He is the man who is sanctioning it. After some time, there will be a fire accident. Stock of textiles and jute would have burnt. Then an application goes to insurance company. Who signs it? Same man says that's a huge loss. I am claiming 10 lakh rupees loss. An application to bank, write off the loan, I cannot repay. And an application to insurance company, we have lost all our properties. In the insurance company he was. We had scores of private sector insurance companies. He would sanction the application. So the application from the industry came from him. Loan was sanctioned by him in the bank. And he sends application saying that it is gutted. It's all lost in fire. In the insurance company, he sits in the board. He sanctions it. And people were directors in 50 companies, 60 companies. Money of the people was looted. All these things were brought to the front by Azari and by Loganathan. When Parliament discussed it, Parliament was shocked. In that context only we introduced social controls. When the social controls failed, then of course we took up nationalization. Thanks to the trade union leaders like you, and thanks to Indira's leadership, in 1969 banks were nationalized. Afterwards, confidence was given to the people. People started mobilizing their small amounts. Syndicate bank had pygmy deposit. Small amounts were collected and deposited. The deposits went up and the loans went up. And at that time, the priority sectors were defined. Whether agriculture or small scale industry or export orientation or encouraging new entrepreneurs, deposits went up. Insurance companies were nationalized. Coal industry was nationalized. In fact, Kaushik Basu, who was earlier with World Bank, who was advisor here, he writes that people had so much of confidence in the public sector banks, money started flowing in, our deposits went up. One. Thanks to the banks and the insurance companies, savings were mobilized. Our savings rate, which was less than 10%, slowly started going up. Thanks to that, our national income growth rate went up. 1975, the growth rate was 9% because of bank nationalization, because of coal industry nationalization, because of insurance, general insurance nationalization. LIC with huge support, SBI, nationalized banks, general insurance companies, all coming under public sector. One started functioning well. This nonsense of one man sending the application and sanctioning the application was put an end to. Country was on the growth path. But what happened? In 71, 72, in 71 we had the war with Pakistan. Bangladesh was created. We lost our resources. 72, 73 huge famines. 73 OPEC countries, because they were angry with the United States, oil exporting countries, petroleum exporting countries, raised the price of oil 4 times. The world was shocked. Petrol price going up 4 times. Europe was shattered. India was badly affected because we did not have oil. In fact, even today we are importing 80% of our oil requirements, crude oil requirements, 80%. We totally depend on OPEC and other countries. So, droughts, famines, wars, and oil shock. All that did not allow us to grow. In spite of that, 80s were the turning point. India started growing at 6% plus. We did well later, 7% plus. We did well better, 9% plus. That is all because of the foundation that was laid down. And look at the advantageous period that we have, 90s and 2000s. No major war. No major drought, except once. No famine. And for about 10 years, rain gods have been very good to us. We had very good rains. Agriculture started growing. In that context, a completely distorted debate was introduced by some of the vested interests in the industry and parliament and in the media that India was not at all doing well. Before 85, before 91, it was all license Raj. True, there were licenses. Why licenses came? Because of all the scandalous behavior of the private sector in 50s, 60s and 70s. License Raj came under Indira, and of course there was a bit of misuse. There was. But this was completely distorted, and people started saying economic history was not there before 91 and the history was rewritten only after 1991. That is not true. Even in 91, when Narasimha Rao brought in some of these things, what was the scenario? Soviet Union was breaking up for various reasons. There are cultural reasons. Russian language was imposed, and some of the countries which were with Soviet Union did not want to be with them. They wanted to get out. And Soviet Union, which was growing very well in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, started slowing down in 70s and 80s. There were corruption charges against Kosygin and others. Nepotism was there during Brezhnev period. Russian language was imposed on the other non-Russian countries. There were so many reasons. And the spirit of 20s, 30s, 40s was not there with the Soviet people in 70s and 80s. It was not there. They became more selfish. Productivity levels went down. Many asked, why should I work for the country? Why should I work for others? These questions were not there in 20s and 30s because they were then freed from the clutches of the czars. But that spirit was not there in 70s and 80s. More corruption, more nepotism, slow growth. And for various political reasons, Soviet Union broke up. Then in 87, Deng, who came to power, started practicing 2 systems, 1 country. In the coastal areas, we'll have market economy. Why? They are already educated their people. They are already given a decent standard of living to the people. Industrial growth was not taking place. They needed capital. So Deng invited the non-resident Chinese of Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea and other countries. They were invited, come and start industries, we will not interfere. So he created special economic zones. Initially they were hesitant, later they came up and they found government was not interfering. They started contributing. Non-resident Chinese contributed much more than non-resident Indians. Then they went and told the American industrialists and the European industrialists, come to coastal China, you make profit, pay the taxes. Seeing non-resident Chinese, American companies came there. Hundreds of American, German, French, British companies came to China. They brought capital, they brought technology, they got cheap labor. The labor was given only 1/5 of the wages in the United States. So they were happy. In this background, Narasimha Rao was under pressure. Soviet Union had gone, China was going in a different direction. But he did not totally disband everything. Manmohan Singh was with UGC as a secretary, and Narasimha Rao said, we will follow Willy Brandt, who was the Chancellor of West Germany. Middle path. We will follow middle path. He was not for disbanding the whole public sector and all that. And he called Manmohan Singh, come and join us. Then Manmohan Singh asked, will you give me freedom? Yes, you will have the freedom. Then when he came and when Manmohan Singh, see, he was RBI governor, he was the deputy chairman of planning commission, he was a finance secretary. So if something was wrong in 80s or 70s, he was the man to be blamed. Because he was in all these positions. He was advising the prime ministers. Now suddenly in 92 he presents a budget saying that all that was wrong. The Congress MPs were shocked. In the Congress parliamentary board meeting, when Manmohan Singh was asked, now are you not reversing all that Nehru did, Indira did? Why are you doing it? What is the meaning of these policies? Are we going to do better? Is it going to lead us to growth, higher growth? He said, give me 3 years, I will solve all the problems. Give me 3 years, I will solve all the problems. It all started with 92. Reforms were needed. In what? In abolishing corruption in the country. Reforms were needed for introducing efficiency into administration. Reforms were needed in people-government relationship. Reforms were needed in redefining growth. But unfortunately, reforms in this country were given a wrong meaning. The press said reform means privatizing the public sector. Reform means only liberalizing, removing all the controls. That was not reform. Reform should have abolished corruption, wiped out poverty, destroyed caste system, would have lifted people out of poverty. And that is where China scored over us. China's savings rate went up from 20% to 30%, from 30% to 40%. At one stage, China was saving 54% of national income. Huge savings. Investment, 50%. And top banks were in the hands of Chinese government. Chinese government told the banks, public sector banks, 4 banks, told them, give loans. Start enterprises all over the country. Towns and village enterprises. Everywhere you should have industries. Industrialize. Create employment. Don't worry about non-performing assets. 4 banks started giving loans to everyone. Everyone, you get a loan, start an industry, manufacture something, sell it at a low price, capture the world market. And China conveniently entered into WTO. Because of WTO, it became member and exports were increased. All over the world, it started becoming a leader. The Americans, industrialists, governments were all happy because, one, companies could open branches in China and produce and sell the same products in America. America became a country of customers for the products made in China, but the products made in China belong to American companies, so the companies made profit. So companies were happy and the government was happy because it was importing products from China and the inflation was low, prices were very cheap, people were happy. But America did not realize it. It was getting deindustrialized. Today it realizes that. United States has been deindustrialized because most of the industries have gone to China. Okay. Then go back. In 1944, when we had Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire in the United States, that conference was organized by Keynes and by White. Keynes had a different idea, to start international bodies, to save the world, to help the world to take economic path, steady economic growth. Conference was called, 44 countries participated, India was not free, but India was represented by 2 people, R.K. Shanmugam from Chennai, the first finance minister, who became first finance minister, then A.D. Shroff from Bombay, both of them went and participated. At the end of the conference, White, one of the organizers, called his assistant Raymond and told him, I don't know what will you do. You go and present a paper in the seminar. I want dollar to be the international currency. Britain has lost its leading position. Now dollar should become the international currency. I don't know what you will do. Raymond prepared a paper. What is that? One, America was the biggest creditor then, 1945, towards the end of Second World War. It was the biggest manufacturer. It had huge amount of gold, number one in terms of gold reserves. It was the biggest exporter. It was not damaged in the Second World War. Therefore, dollar should be the powerful currency. We have enough gold. You accept dollar. If you don't accept dollar, bring it. We will give you gold. And we'll fix the price of gold, $35 per ounce of gold. All the other currencies fix your values in relation to dollar. The participants were shocked. Keynes was shocked. They never wanted, they never expected that dollar will become the international currency. But the entire seminar was taken towards that direction. Finally, dollar became the most powerful currency. Okay? But what happened? America was losing its resources in Korean War, in Vietnam War. They lost their important position. They lost their reserves. By 1970s, France had enough gold, Russia had enough dollars, Russia had dollars, Japan had dollars. When America looked back, its gold reserves were not enough. If Russia wanted gold, if Japan wanted gold, if Germany and France wanted gold, America did not have gold. So on 15th August 1971, President Nixon announced, hereafter we cannot exchange dollar for gold. We don't have enough gold. So what happens to dollar? You decide. What will happen? I leave it to the market. Government of America will not decide. The $35 equal to 1 ounce of gold, that relationship is gone. We will not redeem dollars by giving you gold. World was shocked. Britain, France and Germany went and told Nixon, you are destroying global economy because during the interwar period we had fluctuations. During the interwar period there was competitive devaluation. During the interwar period, each country was trying to devalue its currency. There was confusion. Now you are destroying the value of dollar. That's an international currency. We will be in trouble. But by 1973, Nixon announced, hereafter dollar cannot be exchanged for gold. What will be the value of dollar? Let the market decide. Dollar was handed over to the speculators. After a few years, Britain handed over its currency to the speculators. After a few years, France, Germany followed it. In 1970s, currency market was liberalized because the governments there failed. There is no stability in the currency market. In 1980s, debt market was liberalized. In 1990s, equity market was liberalized. You invest anywhere as you like. In the last 30 years, what has happened now? One, dollar value which was $35 per ounce, today per ounce of gold it is equal to $1,100, $1,200 or $1,300. Dollar has fallen in the last 30 years from $35 per ounce of gold to $1,200. This destabilized other currencies. There's a global inflation. Now, look at the currency market. Every day, if you look at the markets, it is not equity market, it is not stock market, it is not commodity market, it is currency market, which is the biggest in the world. What's the size of the currency market? Every day, $5 trillion. The turnover is $5 trillion. At 10 o'clock, you start with your system. You pay $10 billion to the bank, borrow $100 billion, buy pounds. 11 o'clock, sell pounds and buy yen. 12 o'clock, sell yen, buy euro. By 1 o'clock, sell euro and buy back dollars. At the end of the day, you make a profit of $1 billion, $2 billion. In fact, George Soros, who is into currency business, in one day he defeated Bank of England, he defeated England, He went on selling pound sterling. Bank of England could not defend it. At one stage, Bank of England said, no. In that day, one day, he made more than $1 billion. $1 billion profit in one day in currency market. At that time, it was 6,000 crore. Today, you can imagine. Crores of rupees. So in one day, you can make 6,000 crore rupees or worth of profit in the currency market. That means who is controlling the currency? Not RBI, not Bank of England, not Federal Reserve of the United States, not Bank of France, not Bank of Japan. It's speculators. There are hundreds of speculators who are sitting all over the country buying and selling currencies. So entire global economy is not with the economists, it's not with the government, it's not with the people's representatives. A few speculators. Look at the last 30 years, look at the scenario in the world. We had more than 100 crises. 84, Mexican crisis. 87, loans and savings associations crisis in the United States. Cooperative banks, loans associations were closed, destroyed. 90s, a series of crises. 97, 98, Southeast Asian crisis. After 98, Russian crisis. 99, 2000, Argentina was in crisis. Turkey was in crisis. 2001, America got into deep trouble, United States. And 2007, 8, 9, global financial crisis. The world is yet to recover. In the last 30 years, 100 currency crises, 100 banking crises have occurred. In 2008 alone, 158-year-old institution Lehman Brothers collapsed. Merrill Lynch could not manage. It was taken over by Bank of America. Citibank, which was number one, fell down to disgrace. And North Rock, a leading bank in the United Kingdom, was closed. It was taken over by the government. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the mortgage organizations of the United States, were nationalized. General Motors could not pay the salary to staff. Chrysler could not pay the salary to the staff. That is it. So in the last 30 years of liberalization, world has not gone in the right direction. There is no economic stability. There is no employment growth. There is no distribution of income, proper distribution of income. But world income has grown. World income has grown. For example, after Second World War, world income was $5 to $6 trillion. Today, world income is $70 trillion. World income has gone up 14 times. But if you look at the world, mainly this income has gone to the speculators. Now, top banking people, a few who are controlling the global resources. In fact, in the United States, from where our intellectuals are borrowing their ideas, in the United States, in the last 40 years, 90% of the people at the bottom have not gained. 90% of the people in the United States have not gained. All the growth in income has gone to top 10%. Worse, majority of the income growth has gone to top 1%. Worse, 0.1%, the top 0.1%. They get every year 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. Bank executives are getting 100 million in some of the banks. 50 million and bonuses. 90% of the people there in the United States are where they were 40 years back. In fact, in the United States, if you look at the inequality of income, it is 1:243. People at the top are earning 243 times the income earned by people at the bottom. So we are sitting on the top of a volcano. We have reached an unstable society. We have created an unstable society. And the intellectuals in India, or the media in different countries, have started saying, look at the growth. Look at the phenomenal growth. Come back to India. Now, what has happened now in India? India has 111 billionaires, according to the report, which which we got 2 days back. 111 billionaires are there. This is what we have created. But look at our people. 111 billionaires, fine. People, 35% of Indians are earning less than $1 a day, according to World Bank. 40% of Indians are earning less than $2 a day. 90% of Indians are earning less than $10 a day. That's all. That's all the progress. The so-called middle class. Some claim our middle class is anywhere around 350 million. Our population is 1,200 million, 120 crore. 35 million, 350 million are supposed to belong to middle class. My question is, according to the latest report, only 35 million are assessees. Officially, only 35 million people are our assessees. Who is an assessee who earns and reports his income more than 2 lakh rupees? How many are there? Only 3 crore. What's the population? 120 crore. I don't understand the logic. 350 crore are supposed to be middle class, but of the middle class, only 10% are paying income tax. They are earning more than 2 lakh rupees. This means 97% of Indians are earning less than 2 lakh. 97% of Indians are earning less than 2 lakh per annum. What is less? 2 lakh per month? 20,000? 20,000. That means 97% of the population in this country is not getting 20,000 per month. Only 3% are getting. Okay. This is one part of it. 35% getting less than $1, 40% getting less than $2, 90% getting less than $10, finished. If you look at the bottom 10%, in the rural areas, they are getting only 17 rupees. If you look at the bottom 10% of Indians, they are earning less than 16 rupees. And if you look at the bottom 10% urban areas, they are getting around 40 rupees or less than 40 rupees per day. That's all. And if you look at the richest, 111 billionaires have been created. This wonderful progress report. Now go deeper. 1/3 of adults in India cannot read and write. 1/3 of adults in India cannot read and write. Only 2/3 can sign their names. 1, 2. How many years our adults have spent in the schools? Any idea? How many years on an average our adults, 25 plus, have spent in the schools? 8? Any guess? Till last year, 4.4 years. Adult population of India has spent only 4.4 years till last year's report. That's all. 4.4 years. Okay. Look at the other countries, developed countries. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Germany, France, the United States, Canada, Japan. They spent 12 years. Adult population has spent 12 years in the school. Okay. Now let us have a look at our children. A child which is joining first standard today. How many years it is expected to be in the school? 12 years. In Norway, Sweden, Denmark, in Europe, in the United States, in Japan, how many years they are going to spend? 18 years. The future generation, this is according to government. The future generation in India will be in the school only for 12 years. So after 12 years, they would have completed +2. But in all the developed countries, leave alone developed countries, China, Singapore, South Korea, Cuba, Brazil, even in these countries, children are going to be there in the school and college for 18 to 19 years. One part of it. Now, average 4 years, they have crossed 12 years of schooling. In future, we'll have 12 years of schooling, they will have 19 years of schooling. That means everybody in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Singapore, or South Korea will be a doctorate. Minimum postgraduates. Where are we? Okay, we'll still go one step ahead. 50% of the homes in India do not have toilets. 50% of the people in India do not have toilet facilities. At home, no. In some of our states, even in the places where we live, they don't have toilets. That means open defecation. This is a basic thing. In fact, what's a tragedy, We have more mobiles in the country, more homes with mobiles in the country than homes with toilets. And this is a progress we are proud of. Compare with Bangladesh. We created Bangladesh in 1971. Even today, Bangladesh income, the per capita income is not even half of India's income. Per capita income is not even 50% of an Indian's income. Okay. Now, Bangladesh, 80% of women have toilets. Bangladesh, child mortality rate has come down. Infant mortality rate has come down. In India, it is shockingly bad. Maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, child mortality rate, all are worse. Take South Asian countries. The worst is Pakistan, next is India. In fact, Nepal, which was far behind us, is doing very well. Is doing very well on many human indicators. In this scenario, we are not busy with the basic issues. Our per capita income is 1/2 of Chinese, 1/3 of Brazilian, 1/4 of Russia. Our per capita income per annum is still less than $1,600. In Norway it is $75,000. In all the developed countries it is $45,000, $40,000, $50,000. And look at our tax. Our people are now saying we are going to reduce the taxes for corporates. Already we have fiscal deficit. We don't want to mobilize more resources. If you look at Denmark, Finland, the tax rate is 50% for the highest slab. In Germany, 45%. In England, 45%. In India, it's only 30%. For example, what is the highest slab in India? 30% plus surcharge. For who? Those who are earning more than 20 lakh rupees. More than 20 lakh rupees. 30 lakh, same 30%. 1 crore, same 30%. 1,000 crore, same 30%. 5,000 crore, same 30%. There are people in this country who are getting dividends more than 5,000 crore per annum. They don't pay any tax. By a strange definition, we ask the company to pay and these people not to pay. A man earns 5,000 crore sitting at home through dividends. He doesn't pay any tax. Then on 20 lakh rupees, you are paying 30% tax. My point is, above 50 lakh, we don't have 40%. Above 1 crore, we don't have 55%. Above 1,000 crore, we don't have 60%. Of course, it was true. In 70s, we had a bad policy, 97%. That's wrong. But now we can have 50%. If you earn above 50 lakh or 1 crore per annum or even 100 crore, why don't you pay 45% to the country? That is wrong. That is not part of liberalization. So we are not willing to mobilize resources. We are not willing to mobilize resources. To mobilize resources, what we want to do, we want to sell LIC, we want to sell State Bank, we want to sell railways, we want to sell all the public sector corporations, Neyveli, Rourkela, Belai, Durgapur. Mind you, this so-called middle class that we have created is there because of the public sector. They were all children of railway employees or bank employees or postal employees. Today they have become the middle class. Unfortunately, the middle class doesn't seem to be interested in the welfare of the poor. That's the whole tragedy today. We are not concerned. Look at the leaders today. All the children are outside the country. They are safe. We don't discuss about the future of this country. How will this 120 crore people live? They don't have drinking water. They don't have 3 times a meal. They don't have decent schooling. They are not able to go to colleges. What have we done? Education is commercialized. Commerce is vulgarized, religion is politicalized, politics is criminalized, criminals are glorified, women are commoditized, children are laborized, and the society is scandalized. Okay? That's the scenario. What's the future of our children? Are they going to be safe? We are going to still fight in the name of everything. Religion, caste, region, language. The basic issues are not addressed. For me, the basic issues are abolish poverty. China has abolished poverty. Why have we not? Provide literacy to all, 100%. Brazil has achieved it. South Africa has achieved it. China has achieved it. Sri Lanka has achieved it. Let our people live long. Our average age is 67. In Sri Lanka it is 71, 72. In China it is 72, 73. In Japan it is 82, 83. We are not, if you are born in India, you may not live long. You may not be illiterate. And nowhere else in the world education has been commercialized as it is in India. Nowhere in the world. You have to pay lakhs to get in engineering colleges and crores to get in medical colleges. How can children, majority of the children study? And where is employment? In spite of our growth rate of 8%, 9%, 7%, employment growth is not there. Employment growth is, see, for example, 30 years back, only 8% of the total labor force was in the organized sector. Even today, it is less than 8%. 92% are in the unorganized sector. What is the growth? Growth should be transformed into creation of employment. We have not created it. In this scenario, what are we busy with? Average income of majority has not gone up. Food intake has not gone up. In fact, 45% of our children do not have the height that they should have for their age. Do not have the weight that they should have for their age. Do not have the IQ that they should have for their age. 45% of our children. What is their future? They'll be weak physically and mentally. They can't work. They can't earn. They can't enjoy high standards of living. 45% of the children, and we have done nothing. So we are not talking about all these issues. And our environment is highly polluted. Delhi is example for that. Entire India is polluted. Our water is polluted, air is polluted, earth is polluted. And we are not busy with that. All that we are interested in, sell the public sector. Now look here, at what rate we are going to sell? Sell the shares. State Bank of India share may be sold at 300, 400 or 500 rupees, that's all. But if you take the buildings of State Bank of India in Delhi alone, it will be worth lakhs of crores of rupees. And we are going to sell it for a pittance, 300 rupees a share. That does not really represent the value of State Bank of India. Look at all the branches in the country. Look at the land, look at the building, look at the infrastructure and the human capital and the intellectual capital. What is the price we are going to get? Are we going to get 10 lakh crore rupees, 20 lakh crore rupees? No. BHEL, at what rate we are going to sell? A share for 200 rupees or 300 rupees. And BHEL is worth millions of dollars. Neyveli, Roorkela, Bhilai, Durgapur, any public sector organization. If you look at the stock market, I've been studying Sensex and Nifty. Many of the companies which are there, they are there because of high patent value, high invisible assets, high brand value. That brand value can disappear tomorrow. What will be realized is land value and building value. That is with the public sector. Public sector in India is worth lakhs of crores of rupees. We are going to sell them for a few thousands of crores. Don't sell the public sector. That's our foundation. That belongs to our grandchildren. Government gave the land freely to the public sector. Government gave the land for 1 rupee to the private sector, public sector. Many places, including Neyveli, people gave the land. That's a treasure that belongs to our grandchildren. Don't destroy it. Use public sector. No, it's our own fault. Where are the success stories of public sector? Success stories of ONGC, IOC, State Bank of India. When we started public sector, we had economic objectives to make profit, to declare dividends. We had social objectives to help the people, to create employment. We have not articulated, we have not advertised, we have not done research on that. Now, leave alone all that. Till 1947, this country had officially untouchability. The constitution, untouchability was abolished. SC, STs were given reservation. But for the public sector, SC, STs would not have got employment. Today, millions of SC, STs have come up thanks to public sector, thanks to reservation. Now, at one stroke, when you sell public sector, the future of SC, ST is destroyed. Private sector will not take them. Where will they go? And people from rural areas, it is reservation that has helped them. Without any debate, silently we are destroying their future. Who are we? This constitution is nullified when we privatize the public sector and when we take away the job opportunities from the hands of the SCs and STs. Is it not a sin? Is it not morally wrong? Why is there no debate on that? When we say privatization, it is not pure privatization of some management. It's not that, much more than that. Land, building, human capital, all these things are wasted. How much of research you have done? Tell me, in the last 60 years, what is the contribution of private sector for research and development in the country? Whatever little research we have done, it has come from the public sector. It is not recognized. It's not articulated. It's not publicized. Welfare of SC, STs, welfare of women. So these are the aspects which should have been discussed. Unfortunately, there is no debate in the country. We are busy with non-issues. The media are busy with non-issues. The net result, such a serious issue like privatization, is being lofted, is being accepted. People want it to improve efficiency. Where? What kind of efficiency? We have achieved social objectives. Why are they not measured? We have achieved economic objectives. Why are they not projected? Not only that, you take BHEL. It has installed boilers in Indonesia, Malaysia, in Egypt, African countries. We have helped African countries through our public sector. And deliberately we have incurred losses. Postal Department ran deliberately at a loss to help the rural people. Take for example postal card. It doesn't cover the cost of delivery. Money orders did not cover the cost. We were doing a service. But that service is today degraded, lofted, ridiculed, criticized. Courier, 25 rupees, 30 rupees to send a letter. There, Gandhi was using only Indian letters, liberated the whole country from the clutches of imperialists. Like that, State Bank of India, what a service you have done. But for State Bank of India, thousands of villages have not seen the light of the day. Green revolution would not have been possible. Thanks to the banking sector, particularly public sector banks. Today, we are self-sufficient in agriculture. We have built millions of houses. In fact, you have created the market for the automobiles. But for your loans, but for your signature, but for your work, agriculture would not have grown, small-scale industries would not have grown, exports would not have grown. But that is not projected at all. Entire automobile industry depends on you. Because of you it has grown. Today they are all manufacturing 1 crore cars per annum. There's a huge market. How? Because you give the loans at subsidized rate. But look at the flaw in the model. That's a wrong model. When we allowed these people to come into India, we allowed them to come with their own existing outdated technologies. They came here and produced the same petrol cars, diesel cars and sold them and polluted our land, made huge profit. I know one foreign company which sent back its home, royalty, dividends, all that, then it sent one amount. For what? For using the name, brand name. How much? At that time, I'm talking about some 15 years back, it sent 160 crore. What was the tax paying? It was paying in India much less. It was sending dividends, bonus, all that. Now, the scenario is this. This public sector has to be saved, protected, nurtured, appreciated. Do research on that. Publish books, materials. Go to schools and colleges, organize seminars. Go to universities, organize seminars. What are the economic gains because of public sector? What are the social objectives realized through public sector? Publicize. Conscientize our students. Go to B schools. That is where they are against the public sector. Why? Public sector does not absorb them. Placement comes from private sector. So those students in IIMs and IITs do not know much about public sector. Go there and absorb them. Absorb the top brains in the country from the top B schools, IITs, and put them there at the top. Improve. If there is any area to be improved, improve it. Carry it out. But save public sector, not for our sake, for the sake of our grandchildren. I thank you very much for the opportunity given. Thank you very much. I thank Franco.